Well, what is going on, everybody? What is going on, Jay Spence?
What is up going on, everybody? Joe, what's up, man? You're back.
Back for vacation, no sunburn. I got a lot of sun, don't have a sunburn. Dude, without fail. Go ahead.
You worked hard on that, didn't you?
No, it's a pretty routine thing for me. Like I'm not 50. I'm almost 50 years old. I grew up on a lake. I lived in Florida for a long time. I know how to take care of my skin so that I get sun, right? So I look tan when I get back, but I'm not like burnt. And without fail, at least twice every vacation, some woman comes up to me and goes, "Oh my God, you better put some sunblock on right now." And I'm like, "Lady, I'm fine." The one lady in particular was like, "No, you don't know what I'm looking at." I was like, "I've been here for 8 days. I'm fine." Like, I'm not sunburnt. It's the color of my skin.
Like I'm like this every week on Hump Day. Trust me.
Welcome to my life, bro. Like for real. So welcome in everybody to the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. It's so good to have you. I am your host, Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, and that over there is my co-host, Jay Spence the King. Jay Spence, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Jay Spence the King, and everywhere else that Joe said he was, that's where I'm at too. We're all in the same. We're in the same place.
I just did a podcast recording with the Under the Center podcast, which is like some Irish dudes, and it was awesome.
Yeah, but they're good.
Yeah, and I'm like Irish, so it was great. But what's funny about that is they asked me where they could find me, and I'm like, and I had to stop. I was like, man, I'm busy. I'm really busy. And it was right after that I posted my schedule for the
You're
coming
a big
weekend.
deal. Oh. You're a big deal.
I can't believe you can say that with a straight face. So what is good in Bills Mafia land? I've been gone for 10 days. I've been in and out of Twitter here and there, and we got good people, normal people coming into the chat. Richard Rush, Jake Jordan, what's up, guys? Chris Jenke's in, the real Chris Jenke. But what's been going on in Bills land? Anything good happened while I was gone?
I'm trying to think of anything that you may have. Yeah. Well, no, Marlowe. Dean.
Oh, Dean Marlowe's gone. That's right. Dean
Marlowe. Yes, he is with Detroit. I'm sorry. I had a brain freezer. Like, wait, no. Saran is still here. Saran is with us.
Gotcha.
Don't kick him off the team. We like him.
Kick him off the team. That's funny. But yeah, it's been kind of quiet. Obviously, for those, and we're not going to talk about it here, but it came out yesterday that Mark Poloncarz said that they want full stadiums, which is great. They want the stadium to be completely packed, and their hope is that with the Excelsior Pass that they're going to be able to do that, to keep full stadiums, or to allow everybody into the stadium that has been vaccinated and can prove it through the Excelsior Pass. And then which was huge on Twitter yesterday, and then it kind of came back around today. Cuomo apparently came out and said, well, not really. There's some hoops that have to be jumped through and some state things that have to be passed first. So Mark Poloncarz might have had the cart a little in front of the horse. I think one of the hangups, and I'd like to know what you think about this too, because you're in Arizona and I know you've been vaccinated. But the main hiccup, right, is the fact that if you're an out-of-state Bills fan, Colt Schroeder, so the Buffalo nerd, lives in California, has Bills season tickets, can't get an Excelsior Pass. So if you're out of town and you're a season ticket holder, there's no way, they've got to figure that out, in my opinion. That to me is a priority. You can't just.
And I don't want a refund. I want to come to the game. You get what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, they got to figure that out. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that has to be figured out, because, for instance, minors, I believe right now under the age of 16 are not approved to get vaccinated. So if you're going to say that you have to be vaccinated at this point, what are you going to do to kids? Like, if I take my nephew, he's 13, he can't be vaccinated. Right. So, I mean, and I'm sure by the time the season rolls around, they will be. And there's a lot of things to work out. Don't worry, Bills fans. It's by the time the season rolls around, I'm sure all of us will be in Orchard Park, just doing everything that we've been waiting to do for the last year and change. Yeah. So don't fret. We still got time. Let's do this.
So everybody knows, we're not trying to bring this up to start trouble. Spence and I talked about not talking about this. It's just more about, this is news that's come up. So there's two sides of it. And if there's information out there, we might as well get it to you that we have it. So we can move on from that. But other than that, the draft is coming up. I'm going to be on John Fina and I are going to do an off tackle show Friday night of the draft, the 30th at 9:00. We're going to talk about who we drafted first round, who we drafted second round, and hopefully who it looks like we might be getting in the third round. What do you got coming up for the draft? Anything good?
Well, the 27th, I got CJ Spiller joining me on the Code of Conduct. It's actually going to be I'm going to have 2 episodes of the Code of Conduct that week. It's going to be a bit I didn't make the first announcement yet, so I'm going to hold off about the Monday show because I got to confirm a couple things. So I have a show that we're doing Monday that's going to be pretty big. It's going to be a collaboration of sorts. We're looking to do some collaboration with Cover One, Buffalo Fanatics, and I'm waiting on confirmation on one more network. But so that is going to happen on the 26th. Then, like I said, on the 27th, we got CJ Spiller joining me. We're going to talk about that running back that we all seem to sort of kind of want, those of us who want a running back in the first round, that CJ Spiller coaches down there at Clemson. We're also going to talk to him just about, his time in Buffalo and everything else that you all would want to talk to him about. So it's going to be fun times. And then that Wednesday night, the night before the draft, we got Hump Day Hotline. I'm working on something else special. Working on something else. And just so everybody knows, those of you that are lovers of all the YouTube stuff, this Sunday night, 9:00, the Overreaction podcast will be recorded live, and my guest will be none other than Del Reed from 26 Shirts. And I'm really excited to have Del Reed on. Del and I have only talked one time, so I know there's a lot of you out there that have met Del and are friends with Del. I think you've got some connections to Del. I have none. Like you and I talked to him on the phone one time or on Zoom one time, and other than that, never really talked to him, so I'm excited about that. But ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Hump Day Hotline. Do me a favor, do us a favor, hump that like button, hump it, and subscribe if you have not yet subscribed to YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, jump over to YouTube, log into YouTube, and then subscribe to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube channel so that you can be up to date on everything that's going on with Rumblings, because we're bringing good content, a lot of content, and it's just going to keep growing, and we're really excited about that. What are we talking about tonight, Jay Spence? What are we talking about? Well, I threw up a couple posts today on Twitter.
You bait people. Just admit it.
It wasn't me. No. So actually, Joe baits people. I woke up this morning, so everybody knows. Well, and if you don't know, for those of you who are watching, I'm in Phoenix, so there's a 3-hour time difference. So this morning I wake up, I couldn't sleep for some reason. It's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. here. I wake up. Joe is in the chat talking about how Elway and no. What was the first point you made? Because it ended up going. It was about Favre and it was about Brady and Rodgers. So
that's what it was. Somebody blowing me up about Aaron. Yeah, because somebody came into one of my posts that I'd put out there, and they were like, "You need to be talking about Aaron Rodgers because the stats say that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady." To which I invited Bruce in. Like I was like, "Bruce, get in on this," because stats are great, and those of you and those that are out there that do the stat thing, it's amazing. But I will die on the hill of stats are only good until they're not. Like stats are important until they're not important. There's a point where stats don't mean as much. Otherwise, Kirk Cousins would have a lot of Super Bowls, right? We know that much about like stats, and that's all I was saying. And then Bruce missed it, so I was throwing Bruce under the bus in our chat because like he missed an opportunity to come in and Hulk smash somebody. So that's how we got there. Now go.
So because of that, then I jumped in and I'm like, well, wait, Aaron Rodgers is clearly better. Like, what do you mean? And then Bruce agreed that Aaron Rodgers was better, but he would not admit that. Oh no, he wouldn't admit that Rodgers was better, right? But he would admit that Elway was better than Jim Kelly, right? And Joe has a very special love for Jim Kelly.
No, I have a special love for facts. We're gonna find that out tonight.
Well, no, but you and I, but we've had maybe not about Elway and Jim, but we've had conversations before about Jim, and you love Jim. You go hard for Jim, which I respect. I respect it very, very much. But I made the statement that I think Elway's a better quarterback than Jim, and they shouldn't even be in the same conversation. This is where the polls were birthed from. So those of you who told me on Twitter today that they were hard polls and I needed to chill, this is where they came from. Yeah. Rich.
First of all, let's stop with positivity bless. So this is what I'll tell you, bro. Love the channel. You guys are really humble and down to earth. Dude, what you're seeing right here is Jay Spence and Joe in Joe's kitchen. Like while my wife's cooking dinner. Like this is just us. And from the day that we had lunch the very first time, like a year and a half ago, this was just us. We just kind of vibe together. So appreciate that. I'm glad it comes through. But yes, to your point, this is what we were talking about. I want to make this scroll. Hang on a second. I got to figure out how to make this scroll. How do I edit this thing? Go ahead. You can take over for a second while I do this. Go ahead.
Well, so I mean, first I'll throw it out there to the chat. So I see some people already talking about it, that Rodgers is a better QB, but Brady is a better leader and player. So let's start with this one, because this was the first it's the first one that came up.
You did. Got it.
You did the scroll. You're
quick
with it. You're quick with it. Okay. So who would you say is the GOAT, people? So talk to us in the comments here. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers, and I think in the chat, I think Joe was leaning towards Tom Brady. Am I right by saying that, or were you going with Aaron Rodgers?
So I love Aaron Rodgers, and the problem is in what we're going to get into as it pertains to this conversation and the next one, and maybe if we have time, a third one. And we're not going to necessarily tell everybody what the third one would be, because if we can't get to it, then we don't want to leave people hanging. Where does the measurement start, and what is the measurement? Are we talking? Are we mirroring years? So from the time that Aaron Rodgers started playing football, is that the cutoff? So all the years prior that Tom Brady played doesn't count. So is it just those identical years, or is it no, they're collective years? So the 3 years that Aaron Rodgers rode the pine, when he got blanks, donuts for all of his stats, they measure in, right? They count into potentially like lost time, touchdowns he didn't throw, interceptions he didn't throw. I love Aaron Rodgers. He's one of my, before Josh Allen came in the league, he was probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL to watch play football. But there's something about Tom Brady, and this birthed something in that chat as well that I'm excited about. That Bruce was talking about is like the clutch gene. Like Tom Brady just seems to have, and what's funny is like in my research today, I was like, like Tom Brady seems to have that clutch gene, and I don't know if this is borderline. We use the term recency bias a lot, and we use that term a lot. And for those of you that don't know what it means, and there's a lot of, so Greg Thompson uses it, Bruce uses it, Aaron Quinn uses it, we use it, everybody uses it, the recency bias. And what that basically means is whatever is most recent to us is what we remember and is what is truth. So that becomes truth to us. So
what have you done for me lately?
For us as Bills fans, our recency bias is every time the Bills go in at halftime with a lead against the Patriots and Tom Brady. And like I can think of what was it, 2016, that year that the Bills were home, and like the Bills were up, I think 24-10 or something like that. And I remember this game because I was there with a friend. We came up from Ohio, and I brought him to it. It was his first NFL game, and sure enough, like they come out in the second half, and like they targeted Gronk the whole game, and Brady just kept chucking it to Gronk, and we couldn't stop him, and they beat us. And it's just like that's the recency bias we have, is that it seems like every single time that the even if we had a leg up on them, Tom Brady beat us. Every time. So there's this clutch gene, and that to me was where it came in. And Bruce said, actually, I think that you can maybe measure a clutch gene. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. I'm on the fence with this one, because to me, is it mirrored time? Are we stripping away the Super Bowls? Does that not matter? Is it statistics only? Like how do we measure? How do we measure?
Well, for starters, if we're going to start off and we're going to work on Bruce rules, and if we're going to say that wins are not a quarterback stat, then Super Bowl wins cannot be a determining factor in saying that somebody is the GOAT. Because winning can't be the determining factor.
Right.
So
right.
we're looking at the quarterback's ability. We're looking at the quarterbacks, their mental. We're looking at what they've done on the field, as a leader, as a player. So the reason why for me, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers, man, just with the eye test alone, and we can talk stats. I'm sure if we pull up stats, I'm sure things will at least I hope they'll work in my favor. I'm going to pull them up while you talk. I just have seen everything that I've seen from Aaron Rodgers has been consistently incredible the entire time he's been in the league. He's made pinpoint throws in ways that now we're seeing guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. We're seeing a new generation of guys come in who can make these throws routinely. But Aaron Rodgers was doing this just period. When only a few guys could do it, he was doing it every single week. And I know everybody, a lot of people don't watch the Packers anymore every week because, well, this past season they did because they were really good. But, when teams aren't obviously like one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league, you don't see them on prime time every week. So unless you're looking for Green Bay, you really don't get to see them as much. But Aaron Rodgers is still prime time. He's still that guy, man. And I know he's not Buffalo. I know, man, I think now this is a different conversation that we can have. I think Josh is going to be the closest thing to him. And I think Josh can surpass that, man. Like Josh has those flashes that he shows me Aaron Rodgers so much. The moment that he matures and he gets this part, like when he gets the mental to it, it's over. It's over for the league.
So getting back to Scott DeGraff, and Scott DeGraff is a good friend of mine, who we met on vacation in Cancun, Mexico, and he is a Packers fan. He's got a little bit more knowledge about Rodgers than you, acute knowledge than you and I are going to have about Aaron Rodgers' leadership ability. Now, it's funny because you could widely contest. If we started there, you could widely contest the difference between Rodgers and Brady. Rodgers is the antithesis of everything that I would potentially want as it pertains to a leader, because he's more of a quiet leader, right? He doesn't really talk a lot. However, there's a confidence that abounds from him on the football field when he's on the field that screams, I'm the best player on the field. Look no further than the discount double check. Like, that's what he does as far as that goes. Trent Edwards was not doing no discount double checks when he was trying to be the quiet leader of the Buffalo Bills, right? Brady, on the other hand, is a little bit toxic. Like, he can rub people the wrong way, and you see the gifs of him walking around trying to get high fives, and nobody wants to high five Tom Brady, or him screaming at his wide receivers. The hard part about that is more oftentimes than not, it works. Like, Brady, he elevates the players of the guys around him. Scheme plays an issue. Coaching plays an issue. There's so many things. And I think what's hard about these conversations is wins are not a quarterback stat. Maybe not, but losses sometimes are a quarterback stat. I mean, Fitzpatrick we love, but Fitzpatrick had to go because he couldn't win games. Tyrod Taylor, you talked about it just the other day on the show. Or no, I think it was in a tweet. Like, Tyrod Taylor, we love Tyrod Taylor. He's one of all of Bills Mafia, both those guys, Bills Mafia's favorite quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, it's not what you're giving me isn't working, right? So there's something about it. So there has to be something said for if a portion of losses can be attributed to a quarterback, then a portion of wins have to be able to be attributed to a quarterback. And when you look at their numbers, when you look at them head to head, right? Tom Brady, if we just go game started, the years that they've played. So all I'm removing is Aaron Rodgers' 3 seasons that he did not play. Tom Brady has started 299 games in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is 190. And this whole thing is already skewed because Tom Brady has played more football games than anybody else. And actually, I didn't remove the 1 year that Tom Brady was injured the whole season. Wins as a starter, Tom Brady 230, Aaron Rodgers 126. We don't care about that stat. Losses as a starter. This stat matters to me. Tom Brady 69. 299 games. He's lost 69 games. Aaron Rodgers has been a part of 63 losses. I don't attribute those losses to Aaron Rodgers, but there's something to be said for 69 losses in 300 games. That's big. Like, winning percentages, they're similar, 769, 666, pass completions. Brady's obviously killing him in that number. Like, Brady's going to kill him in all these passing attempts. He's killing him in that number. And that's where it gets skewed and gets kind of weird. So you almost have to like drill down to like touchdown percentages. Tom Brady, 5.5%. Aaron Rodgers, 6.3. And this is where it gets hard. And I'm gonna let you talk because I know you're looking something up. This is where my argument for Brady is going to sound more like I'm arguing for Aaron Rodgers because the stats favor Aaron Rodgers. So what is it?
Yeah. I just, so for me, before I even look at, because I didn't even look up the stats because I was actually looking through the comments, and one of our favorites here, Andrew Miller, said that you put Rodgers on the Patriots and he doesn't think that they have the same amount of rings. He thinks that Brady elevates talent more than Rodgers. See, I completely disagree. I think Rodgers has never had the same type of talent Brady has had. I know we get into the. No, you can say that. He's had a couple years. The 1 year, he had a Super Bowl. The other year, he made it to the NFC.
He's always had a running back. He's always had a dominant running back.
But he had teams.
Wait, time out. I take that back. There was the 1 year he didn't. It was David Montgomery, right? When they took the wide receiver and put him at running back, and then he started dominating people.
Right, but what I'm saying is Green Bay hasn't had teams. There's a reason why they haven't won. Like, they don't have good defenses, and then when they have good defense, they haven't spent the first round draft pick on an offensive weapon for Aaron Rodgers his entire career. Last year they pick another quarterback. Like, what are you doing in Green Bay? What are you doing? You got the city owning the team. Maybe somebody needs to buy the damn team. Like, what are you doing? But when you talk about, like, you can't tell me that Aaron Rodgers has never, and I love Devontae Adams now. He is a stud, absolute stud. But he has never had a Randy Moss. He has never had a Gronk. He has never had. Tell me he's had a Gronk. Come on, man.
He's had tight ends. I'm trying to, my brain, I need to go through rosters.
I'm saying Gronk level tight ends.
He's had solid wide receivers. He's absolutely had solid wide, whether it's
Randall Cobb
was great. Jordy Nelson was great.
Jordy Nelson.
Time out. There's some measurables that you have to bring into the conversation, and as much as they're abstract, and not everybody agrees with it, there's times when fantasy stuff matters, and the reality is Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb were top 10 fantasy draft picks in leagues. When was the last time Tom Brady had a top 10 fantasy draft pick at wide receiver? You know his name. Starts with an R, Randy, ends with an M, Moss. That was it.
Yeah, a couple. There hasn't been one game with Antonio.
That may be the only time that Tom Brady has ever had a wide receiver from a fantasy standpoint that was worth anything. Right?
But that's not the point. Like, I'm not talking about fantasy. Their offense wasn't made for fantasy wide receivers.
But to me, that's got that. Wait. Then who's he throwing the football to?
No. Tom Brady, they threw the ball to wide receivers, but there was more of a short game. It wasn't. Aaron Rodgers is a completely different quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball any place on the field. Anywhere on the field, Aaron Rodgers is giving you the ball. Tom Brady.
Arm talent, Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. Arm talent.
Okay.
Mental. So I lived it, right? So I was at the 31-0 football game. I remember all this stuff, and I know you do too. Tom Brady did the dink and dunk thing, just like Ben Roethlisberger, the first 3-4 years of his career. They brought him along very slowly. But Tom Brady's no longer a dink and dunk quarterback. There was a time when Tom Brady was a great game manager. And
hold on real quick, because I don't hold on. I'm sorry because we're gonna keep moving. Please tell me somebody on this list who compares to Randy Moss or Gronk.
The problem is Gronk. I don't know that Gronk counts as much as they line.
How does Gronk not count?
Because Gronk also, I mean, he wasn't a wide receiver all the time. There were many games against the Bills.
How does
hang on? There were many times, even against the Bills, where they had to line him up inside the block, so he wasn't even a weapon option for Tom Brady. They're never lining up Devontae Adams inside to play tight end block.
Gronk always, every time they played Buffalo, he probably had 2 touchdowns.
The funny thing about, if you go through Google, I'm going to Google it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, but if
you go through Aaron Rodgers, I don't know how to Google it. If you go through Aaron Rodgers, for some reason, I don't know how to Google it. His tight ends, he's always got some Robert Tonyan type of a guy that nobody's ever heard of before that he paints 80 times in a year, and then the next year the dude's gone, and then the year after that. It's the next, but that's what I'm saying. I'm arguing for Rodgers now. Why am I arguing? I'm supposed to be on the Brady side.
Because my point is right. Rodgers is better. He makes these guys better. And I know we say that it's Brady. You talk about Wes Welker, people are like, oh, he was a nobody, and that he did the same thing. Again, it was with Peyton Manning, but he did the same thing in Denver. So it's not like these guys are nobodies who play with Tom Brady. And then, okay, let's talk. No, we can't act like lately. Yeah, at the last couple of years in New England. Yeah, I'm with you. But for his career, let's not act like Tom Brady was out there with nobody.
Moss played 3 seasons with Brady. And
we're saying only 3 seasons. Like, that's nothing, dude. Like, he broke the record in one of those seasons. He was incredibly dominant with Tom
But wait,
Brady. And the last point, and then I'll just leave it all alone. Please tell me when Aaron Rodgers has ever had a top 5 defense to go along with him.
Never.
Tell me when he's ever done it. You give Aaron Rodgers a top 5 defense where they're keeping teams under 14 points, I guarantee you he's going undefeated or very close to it. If they're holding teams under 14 points, Aaron Rodgers is giving you 21 a game.
The hard part about this conversation is if you strip away the opportunity for me to talk about clutch wins and tight end seam passes and like finding the guy, coming back from 38-3 or whatever that number was against the Falcons, the only Super Bowl I ever missed because I was in Florida or in Mexico and I didn't care because the Patriots were back in the Super Bowl. But if you remove the opportunity for me to talk about Super Bowls, we're relegated to stats, right? And that's what's hard about it. So then it comes into eye tests, and I'm not going to disagree with you. I said it. Aaron Rodgers has more arm talent, in my opinion, in your opinion, probably most people's opinion, than Tom Brady. And not Tom Brady 2020 or 2019. Tom Brady circa 2012, 2011, right? The hard part about this conversation is the amount of times Tom Brady has started out with his offense being trash in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And then after 3 games, 4 games, and like people have like kicked dirt on him. It's over. Like it's over. And that's when you see Tom Brady come out and like screaming at his wide receivers and screaming at his offensive coordinator. And then lo and behold, he finds a way to put it all together. And that's probably the leader piece that Scott's talking about, because that doesn't happen on Sunday. That happens during the week. That happens Tuesday through Thursday, right? When he's in the room with them, telling them what he wants, when he's on the field with them, doing walkthroughs and trying to coach them and tell them where to go. And there was a big part of the Bucs this year that talked about that. The Bucs talked about what he did to change the culture when he got to Tampa versus what they were used to. I don't want to say with Jameis Winston, because he was just the tag on the end of it, right? I mean, he's just the next guy before Tom Brady. But there's something to be said for that leadership piece. Now, I can't speak to Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers he's in Green Bay. He's hidden like Buffalo. Like he's hidden, right? I mean, there's not a camera in his face every 5 seconds like there is in New England with Tom Brady, or now in Tampa with Tom Brady. There's something to be said for Rodgers is great. Yeah, and this keeps coming up. Rodgers is great, but where has he been come clutch playoff time? And that's where it comes back to. It's like, well, but we can't talk about wins or losses because those are not quarterback stats,
I mean,
which is great because that's going to help me in my conversation when we talk about Kelly and Elway.
But the thing is, if you want to, let's just let's do that. And I know Brady has several now, so like you're throwing Super Bowls in there, and it's like you can't debate them.
I didn't yet.
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, like if you throw that argument out there. But if you're doing that, for instance, you can't take away the Seattle Super Bowl when the interception won them the game. You know, you can't take away.
For sure.
You know, so what I'm saying is, like, yeah, Brady, I am not at all. I've publicly come out and people have gotten upset with me in Buffalo because I've now have this newfound love for Brady now that he's in Tampa. I can enjoy him. And I've been not a real crush, but I got this crush on him over the season because he's funny on Twitter and he's good with kids and everybody, so it's like now I love him. He's not Aaron Rodgers, man. He's just not.
I just think that there's an element that we have seen even in Buffalo, and it's that leadership piece, right? There's just something about having a leader that is just going to. If the Bills are playing in a football game and they're up by 1 possession, 5 points, right? They're up by 1 possession. Pick the game. I don't care what it is. This team, whatever team it is, whatever year it is, I don't give a crap how important the game is. Regular season, not regular season. If the Bills are up by 5 points. There's 3 minutes left in the football game or 2 minutes left in the football game. You're playing Aaron Rodgers or you're playing Tom Brady. And this could be that recency bias. I'm 100% more afraid of Tom Brady than I am Aaron Rodgers. Even from what I have seen from an experience standpoint, I have watched Tom Brady drive the field and crush my dreams over and over again. What did I see Aaron Rodgers do? I saw him get strip sacked by Mario Williams and lose the game.
I think that's what it is for you. Your bias comes from the fact that you personally got spanked by Tom Brady twice a year.
But how do you feel when if you've got to take the field with one of those two guys, a minute and a half left, 90 seconds left, you're taking Tom Brady, you're taking Aaron Rodgers, or is it like a toss up? I'll take either.
I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking her, and now if I get left with Tom Brady, am I upset? No, give me Tom Brady. So but the reason why I'm taking Aaron Rodgers is because do you remember the Dallas? It was the playoff game like maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers was rolling to his left. His freaking Josh does it now routinely. So but Aaron Rodgers was rolling to his left, threw like a 40-yard bomb in a bucket on the sideline, going out of bounds. Like it was like the most beautiful throw I've ever seen him until I've seen Josh. He was making those throws routinely. Give him the receivers that Tom Brady has had throughout his entire career. And I know people in the comments said that Aaron Rodgers he's had one guy like this. Brady has had the luxury of having a couple different targets. He's had the running backs and a receiver. He's had tight ends and a receiver and a running back. Or if not, I'm trying to look up the defensive statistics for New England for the years because I want to see like what their average that they were giving up for points. I promise you, man, if you give Aaron Rodgers a defense that is holding teams under 15 points a game, you mean to tell me he's not going 15-1, almost undefeated? You mean to tell me in the playoffs if he's not holding teams under? Come on, man. Aaron Rodgers is killing. Come on.
Yeah, there's yeah. No, when I was digging around for I came up with an awesome stat when I was digging around for actually Kelly and Elway stuff, which we're going to jump to here in a second. I'd like to know kind of where check this out. My sister's in here. How about that? What's up, Jamie? What's up, Jamie? Rodgers can make plays out of nothing. Maybe that doesn't make him the GOAT, but puts him in the conversation. My limited football knowledge. She's not wrong. Like the ability to scramble and do the scramble and play backyard football, which is what makes Mahomes and what makes Josh Allen great. Like that is one of those things that makes Aaron Rodgers, and he does it effortlessly. He does it more effortlessly, in my opinion, than Mahomes and even Allen do it. And here I am pining for Rodgers again. But this was a stat. So I was looking at comeback wins because John Elway was called Captain Comeback. Uh-huh. So Tom Brady has 39 career comeback wins, 39. Surprisingly, Aaron Rodgers only has 17. But this is where it comes in. If you remove the years that Brady played, that Rodgers did not play. So if you just mirror the years that they played together. So like we have a set that we're going to look at, and these are this is going to be what we're going to take our information from. They both have 17 come from behind wins. At the end of the day, Spence, you should know me well enough to know that I don't think that either of these two guys are the greatest quarterback that ever played football. Who do I think it is?
Jim Kelly.
No, it's not.
No, I know.
He's so full of crap. I think it's Peyton Manning. And what's funny about that is Peyton Manning has 43 come from behind victories. And for me, all I need to know about Peyton Manning, as much as I'm arguing for Tom Brady as it pertains to clutch and it pertains to leadership and it pertains to his accuracy isn't as good as Aaron Rodgers, but as it pertains to coming through when it matters, Peyton Manning is all of those things. And then there's a cherry on top. And the cherry on top for me is Peyton Manning's football team, I think, went 14-2 or 13-3. And then he got hurt. And the next year his team went 0-16. And they weren't tanking on purpose. Tom Brady got hurt and his football team went 12-4. And to me, that's a big thing. Like if your football team can win without you, that's telling me something about you, right?
I hear you. But I think the 0-16 has more to do with what the front office didn't do.
This is true.
Indiana, right? And that's where I was about to go, because I think when you look at the argument that I just made for Brady against Rodgers, if you give Brady Marvin Harrison and you give Brady Edgerrin James.
But you can go the opposite direction. Clearly, they invested in the defense. So you give Aaron Rodgers that defense. Peyton Manning never had a defense. He had to outgun everybody he played.
Right, and that was the reason why he only has the two Super Bowls he has.
One with the Colts.
One in Indiana. And right. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why he only has, because if he had a defense, if Peyton Manning had a defense, again, that could keep teams. Peyton Manning was going to give you 35 points.
Every game.
If he had to, he was giving you 35. You keep teams under 21 points and he's winning the game for you.
If you were playing against Peyton Manning in your fantasy matchup and he was playing on Monday night, it was an L for you. He was going to beat the team you were he was playing against, and he was going to beat you.
Peyton was prime time, man. I know like that name is Dion's name, but when you talk about Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, unless it was against the Patriots, Peyton's prime time, man. He was winning that game every time.
Hopefully Trey Wingo's not watching, because we know how Trey feels about prime time games.
Oh, Trey.
So let's get to what we're all here for, which is Jim Kelly, John Elway. And if you're taking one, who are you taking and why? And I'm going to let you go first, because you've heard a lot of my arguments, and I've got a couple extra new ones for you. And as you're talking, you can throw it up in the comments section. Those of you, who are you taking in the comments? Are you taking Tom Brady, or are you taking Aaron Rodgers? And just a quick sentence as to why, as Spence begins to build his case as to why he believes John Elway, recency bias, was a better quarterback than Jim Kelly. And that's where I'm going to start. So I've already given it away to you, and I put it on one of your tweets today, right?
I know. I saw your tweet. So my argument
tweet is accurate, but go ahead.
Well, my argument where I'm going to come in is I'm not even going to back or I'm not even going to start my argument by making a case for John Elway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my argument by saying Jim Kelly was a good quarterback. He was the reason why.
Oh, don't you try to butter me up. Don't you try to
No,
butter me up.
I'm not. But like you mentioned, he's the birth of the Peyton Mannings. He's the birth of the guys who come to the line and you know, the no huddles and all that stuff. He was the guy that
I wasn't even going to bring that up. I was not going to bring that up.
So and this is not a negative. This is a good thing for your argument. Jim Kelly was the beneficiary of, you know, of being creative, of being an originator. The NFL wasn't ready for him. Kind of like that first year when Lamar came in. Now, like Lamar, it was like, oh man, Lamar took over the league. We don't know what to do. They caught up. Jim, they didn't catch up for quite some time, but he also had Hall of Famers, man.
For sure.
So I'm not saying Elway didn't have Hall of Famers. Obviously, we know the story of, you know, we know his running back game. We know how that running game went. But But those Buffalo Bills teams, man, we all know. Obviously, in Buffalo, we know the story. You had a Hall of Fame defensive end.
Stop.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're gonna go grit, then I got to give it to Jim. Like if we're going by grit, because Jim has to be the toughest SOB I've ever seen take foot, like the toughest guy to ever step foot on the football field. So Joshua, I'm not sure if that's recency bias. Like I don't know if you maybe haven't seen Jim play.
And this is what I was texting you on the side. This is the problem. Yeah. The problem with this conversation is there's so many people that do not remember Jim Kelly and John Elway playing football. And Kevin said that from the Fanatics contributor. Kevin said that. Yeah. He's like, I watched these guys head to head. Yeah. And that's when I said, most people only remember Jim his last 2 years. And Jim Kelly's play regressed big time.
Oh, dramatically. Yeah.
What happened to John Elway when Jim Kelly retired? He won 2 Super Bowls. That's what you remember. You remember John Elway helicopter spinning into the end zone and going out on top. Like that's what you remember about John Elway. What people don't know about Jim Kelly in this conversation is that Kelly played 5 less seasons total than Elway in the NFL. 5.
You know why? Because he didn't want to come to Buffalo and he went. Never mind. That's my personal.
It's absolutely true. However,
I get mad about that.
However, Jim Kelly, in his rookie season, coming off of what was potentially considered a career-ending shoulder injury, threw 44 touchdowns as a rookie in the USFL, 5,000 yards in 1980. What is it, 83 or 84? Before guys were throwing 5,000 yards and 44 touchdowns, Jim Kelly did it.
Well, now we do got to say hold up to something though. Your brother is talking crazy. Now, we got the debate about.
I'm on a different screen. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm with you with the debate about Elway and Kelly. Like if we're gonna say Kelly, okay. If you're gonna say Elway, okay. Let's not act like Let's not act like Kelly's a better quarterback than Marino. Like, can we not have this argument? Can we not do this?
Well, to his point, you're right. So Kelly is not a better quarterback than Marino. However, Marino did not fare well against Kelly. No. Like the Buffalo Bills stopped the Dolphins every single time they wanted to go anywhere in the playoffs because of Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills. The question is, and this is where it comes into, are wins a quarterback stat? Well, did the Bills beat Dan Marino or did Jim Kelly beat Dan Marino? I don't have an answer for that.
Ooh. It's always going to be like one of those hypothetical things, but I'm just honest to God, man. Think about it. You put Marino on those Bills teams. Come on, man.
The funny part about it is I don't know that this is fact. I've heard rumors and I've heard stories throughout my years of reading reports and articles that they tried to give Dan, once they saw Jim calling plays at the line of scrimmage, they tried to give Dan that ability, and Dan couldn't do it. He could not walk to the line, call a play, run it, and be successful. I don't know if that's true or not. I just know that's just something that I heard. However,
that might be very true. It might be.
However, let me just put this argument together. Outside of recency bias, which we talked about, Kelly started 160 NFL games. 160. That's it. He started another 36 with the USFL. The USFL numbers are never considered, and they're never even thought of or even like seen because basically, I'll be honest with you, when I was a kid, I didn't watch the USFL. I watched the NFL. That's what I did when I was a kid. Elway started 235 games. If you remove the last 2 games that the 2 seasons that he played before Kelly, or I'm sorry, after Kelly retired, did I have that backwards? It's 205. If you remove all the games, so if you take it and you're like, okay, we're just going to take Jim Kelly's NFL years and mirror them to Elway's NFL years, Elway started at 163. So it was 160 to 163. If you take Kelly's first NFL stats versus Elway up until Kelly retired, which basically means that so Elway from 83, Kelly from 86, all the way until 96 when Kelly retired. TDs, Jim Kelly had 237, or I'm sorry, there was 237 TDs, yes, to 175 interceptions. Elway was 251 to 205 with 3 more seasons. 3. Yards, Jim Kelly had 35,467. Elway had 45,000 with 3 more seasons. Completion percentage, Kelly 60%, Elway 56.9. Rating, Jim Kelly 84.4, Elway 77. That's rating so that's from the beginning, so 83 to 96, right? Without Elway's first 3 years, TDs 237 to 175. We already had that from Jim. Elway threw 204. And he had 153 interceptions. Yards, 35,000. Elway, 36. Oh, the gap is narrowing. Completion percentage, Jim still has them. Actually, that gap grows. And rating, that gap grows. Now, if you add in Jim Kelly's USFL numbers, so the first seasons and there's actually 1 less season because Elway played 3 before Kelly because USFL only had 2 seasons. Jim had 320 touchdowns, 220 interceptions. Elway had 251 and 205. Yards, 45,309 to 45,034. Completion percentage, Jim still beating him. Rating, Jim still beating him.
You can't include that league, though, man. Like that league wasn't the NFL.
Steve Young played. Yeah, he was the MVP of the league his rookie season.
Right. The league, because the talent is like playing for the CFL.
Right. That's fine. If you don't want to,
if you don't offensive player of the year,
if you don't want to include those numbers, if we're just talking stats,
I'm just talking NFL. I'm talking NFL.
That's fine. That's fine. Jim Kelly also went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
He did.
Marino went to 2 and never went back until Kelly was out of the league. That has to be thought about. Same thing for Marino. This is the big one. So
how many guys are in the Hall of Fame from the teams that Elway played on?
It's not.
And how many guys are in there with the same thing with Jim?
It's not a moot point. It's absolutely 100% not a moot point. But that's the problem: is winning a team sport.
And that's why.
So if it is, then you have to are you burying it down to the statistics? Because if you are, and this is what I try to tell people, when Jim Kelly retired, his statistics by and large were better than Elway's. The problem is all we remember from Jim is 95 and 96. Getting knocked out with a concussion against the Jaguars, getting beat in the playoffs, and Elway winning Super Bowls.
No. Jim was the man. Like, I know a lot of young people. I get where you're coming from. You say we like with the recency bias. Jim Kelly was the man. Like, again, to the point that we first made earlier. There's a reason why the Peyton Mannings of the world love Jim Kelly so much. There's a reason why they speak so highly about Jim Kelly is because he laid the blueprint for those guys to be who they are. Or who they were at that point in the league. He was the man.
Here's my last stat, and this is the clutch stat. Okay. And this is the one thing for me that we talk about, and we all know fans that were converted to become Buffalo Bills fans. All of us know people that were converted Bills fans that aren't from Buffalo. I converted several. And it was always because of some primetime football game against the Jets or the Colts or somebody where the Bills were down. And they watched that football team march straight down the field and score a touchdown, win the football game. So it's the clutch gene. We talk about it. And Elway was called a lot of times Captain Comeback, right? As far as that goes. 4th quarter comebacks. And this is where I got that other set when I was doing this research. Jim Kelly had 21 4th quarter comebacks. Now let me finish. John Elway had 31 throughout their entire career. If you remove John Elway's first 3 seasons and his last 2 years, so you just mirror the times, mirror the seasons that they were in, Kelly again had 21. Elway had 16. From the time of 1988 to the time of probably 1993, you would be hard-pressed to find a better quarterback in the NFL than Jim Kelly.
I'm not debating that, sir.
Hard-pressed to find a better quarterback in the NFL than Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly.
I'm not debating that.
There's not an argument you can make that John Elway was a better quarterback outside of longevity and Super Bowl wins. That's it.
Well, there's not a better argument that you can make that outside of those years. Like you're only looking at a certain amount of time. I'm taking both their careers. John Elway, to me, is the better quarterback for their career.
This is interesting
I'm
too.
with
So
you.
just me says Steve Young and Jim Kelly had one hell of a shootout. Greatest game that nobody ever watched was that
Well,
football game in the USFL. So I've never seen it either, but I know about it. I know that those
but
two had
both
like
those guys,
the shootout of shootouts. But yeah,
but both those guys would tear up those defense. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like to see if it's like Josh taking a year off from the NFL and going to play in the CFL next year.
yeah, but
He would have 20,000 yards next year.
But Young came from the NFL. He came from the Bucks. If I'm not mistaken, he went from the Bucks to the USFL and then ended up
and dominated them.
Jim Kelly was a rookie,
right,
and was the man.
He was supposed to be the man coming into the NFL, but I'm not debating that he was the man. What I'm saying is those numbers are inflated. Like if he came in as a rookie in the NFL, he still probably has a good season. It's not those numbers. It's not that MVP type season.
This is a great conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
Richard Rush. There was also Moon, who played in every league and dominated. It's true.
And Doug Flutie.
And yeah, I mean, there's guys that, but Warren Moon was magical to watch. I mean,
Warren Moon was the man. For those of you who are too young to watch Warren Moon and you've never seen him, please do yourself a favor after this show is off. Go and YouTube him. One of the most fun guys. You think Lamar Jackson now, you think, there's plenty of guys since Moon that we can name. Moon was the man. Moon was the man.
Andrew Miller, my brother from another mother, says Kelly wasn't supposed to be the man coming into the NFL. He was like the third or fourth quarterback taken. He was taken 17th overall. He was taken before Marino. The reason there was doubts on him was very similar to Thurman Thomas. It was because of his shoulder injury, his throwing shoulder injury, that there was doubts as to whether or not, and there was still some doubts as to whether or not he should be a quarterback in the NFL, just like there was when he went into college. So it wasn't because
he was supposed to be the man, though. Like, the injury was concerned, but it's kind of like people talking about who's the Caleb this year, the cornerback, like his back injury. They're saying he's a generational talent at cornerback, but he might be able to be available to us at 30 because of his back. That's all it was with Kelly. They knew he was going to be the man.
I found an awesome website that for some reason did this big, huge, I have to send it to Bruce because he's going to nerd out on it big time. Like they projected all their passes, all their games, everything. And I didn't send it to you earlier because I didn't want to arm you. But I'll send it. I'll put it in the chat. And I'll probably link it on Twitter as well for those of you that are on Twitter. And it breaks down the three quarterbacks, Elway, Marino, and Kelly. And it's funny because Kelly's numbers are grossly lower than Marino and Elway, but he also played 5 seasons less than Marino. And I don't know how many seasons less than he played than Marino. But he just played less than those guys. But when it mattered, when the chips were down in the primes of their careers, like Jim Kelly was, he was, I don't want to say he was unstoppable, but he was a general on the football field. He just was. So, but yeah,
he wasn't unstoppable. He was stopped.
Well, he was stopped. That's where it comes into a team. That's where it comes into a team football game, right? It's funny that you can go into the AFC Championship game, win 51-3, and do whatever you want to do, and then you can't. The problem with that Super Bowl, and how old were you for the first one they went to in 1990, the 89 year? How old were you?
4 or 5. I was a kid.
Freaking Thurman Thomas rushed for 135 yards on 14 carries. Why in the hell did that kid not get the football 40 times?
Mm-hmm.
Why? The Bills had done it before. It wasn't like because we're not a running team. No, they were. They had Thurman Thomas. Like when you're running that effectively, you give the ball to that guy. But for some reason, they kept throwing the football. And I think it's because whatever the looks were that they were giving him. I mean, that's back to the Belichick genius, right? That was the first day that Bill Belichick owned the Buffalo Bills. And up until last year, he's continued to own us over and over and over again. It's been absolutely insane. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So have I swayed you at all?
No, but that's okay.
On what?
No, but you know what this has done? You know what this has done though, honest to God, because we've had conversations before privately, and I am really, really not the Jim Kelly fan that most Bills fans would probably love for me to be.
You cannot be a Jim Kelly fan. I'm not a Brady fan, but I see who he is, and I know who he is.
Well, no,
you can say
I've always given Jim his respect. No, I've always given him his respect. No,
I don't think you have.
No, I'm honest about who he is. I think Bills fans, we ooh and ah over him way too much. He was the man. I will say that he was the man, but he wasn't Peyton. He wasn't Tom. He wasn't. No, I know, but a lot of Bills fans, you don't, but a lot of Bills fans feel like Jim Kelly was like that dude, and it's like, wait, he was the dude, but he wasn't that dude. Let's be honest about it.
Right.
But doing this has given me a reason to see some things that I liked, and there was a soft spot for me opening up with Jim. I promise. That's what this has done.
Kenny Riggleman, this is great. We lost that Super Bowl because we had 19 minutes of time of possession. Yep. And that's not true, because the Buffalo Bills for 4 years ran all over everybody in the NFL and put up 40 points a game or 30 points a game with basically 16 to 19 minutes of time of possession in every football game. It wasn't a time of possession issue. It was a game plan issue. Like literally Belichick did what Belichick does, and he out-game planned us, and he beat us. It just is what it is. So Richard Rush, me and Joe remember old school football and fantasy before the internet. It's true. I played fantasy before. Dude, I've told you this story. It's funny. So I remember when let's break down and do this. What do we all remember? I remember when phones were corded. You spelled corded wrong, but I still remember rotary dials. The Chris Rock like rotary dials sketch. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. I was when I was in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. Now I was at my mom's house. You remember the cable box that you had to like move the like?
Oh, stop, dude! My first cable box was a box on top of the television.
Sure.
You had to push the buttons, and then like to get to like the 20s, you had to like there was a slider, and then it was like 11 and 12 and 13, 14.
Oh.
Dude, I remember MTV in 1984, like 83, 84, like when it first came out, when it debuted.
You remember when Thriller dropped, man?
I remember watching Joe Cribbs play football, like I told you the story, sitting on the couch watching Joe Cribbs carry the ball. He'd rip off a 16, 17-yard run, and my grandma, because I was watching the game with my grandfather, my grandma would be like, why don't they run that play every time? And my grandpa would be like, Dorothy, why don't you? They can't run it every time. Like, he would lose. He was a football coach, so he would just lose his mind, which was awesome. What was that post you just put up there? I missed it.
No, he said, don't forget the tinfoil to get reception.
Oh, I can spin off of that.
Small beginnings, man.
I could spin off of that with Twitter. What other things? The high beam button on the floor of a car. Do you remember the high beam buttons on the floor of a car? Do you remember before cars had delayed windshield wiper settings, where like it was either on or off?
Right.
On or off. It's like, this car is delayed windshield wiper settings. Wow.
How much was gas? Do you remember how much gas was when you first started driving?
89 cents a gallon.
Dude, it was $1.14 for me. $1.14.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. Okay, we're old. Let's talk about other stuff now.
This is great. So we've got a couple minutes. We got like 7 minutes. I don't know that we've got enough time to talk about it. So
no, we don't. Don't even do it, man. How was vacation? What'd you do on vacation?
Amazing. I mean, so, and I don't mean to slam anybody. So we're frugal and we're smart when we go on vacation. So all of our flights were free with reward points. And then we stayed at Westgate, which is like a big giant, I don't even know what to do, a big giant resort in Orlando. And I hate Orlando. I lived in Florida for a long time. I lived in Orlando for a year. I hate it. Just me. I just don't like it. And Westgate was awful. So they've got like 17 pools on the property. It's a huge property, and like the pool had like 40 people in it. And it's like, there's no way you can relax like with 40 people in the pool. And my family are very much like, I don't know, pool and kind of beach people. I'm not. My girls and my wife love the beach, love the pool. And I've just kind of gravitated towards that just because that's what my family likes. I didn't grow up vacationing. I grew up on Lime Lake in Cattaraugus County. So like we never vacationed. The whole summer we stayed at the lake at my grandparents' house. That's just what we did. So we kind of have a set way that we kind of like the vacation. So we left that resort early and went to Melbourne Beach, Florida, where just a DoubleTree Inn that was on the waterfront. And it was like, and again, hotel points. I just paid for it with my Hilton Honors card. Didn't pay for the rooms. We stayed there for 4 days. We left the Westgate early and then stayed there for 4 days. And yeah, and once that happened, there was nobody there. There was nobody in the pool. There was nobody on the beach. And it was like, oh, this is vacation. Like, it was great. Like, that part was awesome. Restful. We went to SeaWorld. What a nightmare that was. We waited an hour to get into the park. I tweeted about it. We waited an hour to get into the park. To park our car, it took us an hour. It took us an hour walking in line with 15,000 people. I swear to you, there was more. I saw there was more people in line to get in this giant, like 400 yard snake thing to get into the park. There was more people in line to get into the park than there were at Bills games. Like, it was insane, right? And, like, it was nuts. And then, like, we bought these all you can eat passes, and like there was 5 restaurants or 6 restaurants on it, and only 2 of them were open. It took us an hour and a half to get food. This is where I'm going with this. So, like, this whole time they've got you standing in lines. There's way too many people in the park. It's absolutely insane. And then when you watch the killer whales, which was amazing, because I always wanted to see the killer whale show when I was a kid, and I never got to because we were poor. But I got to see the killer whales for the first time. And then they're like, we're going to dismiss you by section because we're very sincere about safety and COVID and everything else. It's like, you weren't sincere about it when I was coming in the park with 15,000 people standing around me. So that's all. Yeah. So it was awful. SeaWorld was, yeah. So I was lighting SeaWorld up on Twitter.
Well, your pictures made it look like everything was awesome. The videos that you shared and everything.
It got much better after SeaWorld. We ate
the food looked amazing.
Well, my wife is a this, and this is a great time to talk about what you've got coming up. Have you told anybody about what you've got possibly coming up soon?
I think I tweeted once about it, but I'm going to be starting in September. I'm going to be so Saturdays the day before game day, I'll be airing a show called A Seat at the King's Table, where I'll be cooking and baking. I'll be showing like my game day snacks or my game day meals. Sometimes it's going to be healthy. Sometimes it's not, because I'm not in Buffalo. So sometimes I want to teach people how to make wings if you're not actually there, because gosh, you got to have wings. I actually might make wings tonight.
I can send you a sauce that is actually used by a couple of the pizzerias here. That's a jarred sauce that's freaking fantastic.
Let's go. I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need it.
I'll send it to you. But yeah, so my wife is she's not an aspiring chef, but you've eaten her food. She just does a really, really good job about food. And then I had committed to cooking every Monday night, and I opened an Instagram page just to keep me in check every Monday night for the family. And we eat good. My wife is very good about finding restaurants. We found this crab oil place that was unbelievable. She ate, I think I sent you the picture of the whole deep fried red snapper we ate. Oh, that was unbelievable. The best one we ever had was in Cabo. We had a whole deep fried snapper, and that was unreal. My wife just has a knack for finding good restaurants. She's
gonna have to be a guest. I'm just saying, like, we're gonna have to figure out, like,
make it happen.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Oh, wait a second. When did you go to SeaWorld? Because I never got to go to SeaWorld. We had no money, and it's true. We were dirt poor. Like, I was a kid. Oh, look at this puppy. I was a kid. We were the kids that grew up and got like 2 presents for Christmas. Like, it was just rough. It was a rough time for our family. But I never got to go to SeaWorld as a kid. I went to Disney World a lot because of Night of Joy and like some other stuff that was going on there. But we went to the church. But that's another conversation. So yeah. So what's the puppy's name?
This is Buddy Bean.
Buddy Bing.
Bean.
All right. Buddy Bean. Okay.
Yeah.
So Buddy Nix and Brandon Bean, your 2 favorite GMs. Is that true?
Oh.
That was a joke.
There you go. I promised Mrs. Bean. I tagged her that the next one would be after Bean, and there we go.
But where does Buddy Nix fall into that category?
Well, no, Buddy. So my first dog is Butter. I got a girl named Bree. So Buddy,
like my
Butter,
voice, Butter, like my voice,
Butter. Yep. So, but yeah, no, he fits in with the fam. So no, this the newest member of the family.
We are losing viewers by the droves right now. I'm not even kidding.
You would think that they would, like, as soon as I showed a puppy, you would think the numbers would go through the roof. Who knows what's going on here?
We just lost like 20 viewers, not because of the puppy, because you and I have just derailed big time.
Yeah, like we completely got off of the football talk, and it's like, so let's talk about.
That was a fun show, and I love that you've got like the Grinch, like your heart has grown 10 times that day for Jim Kelly. Like I love that I've planted a seed inside there somewhere.
Maybe like 2, not 10, like 2.
I'm not kidding you, dude. I think the greatest argument for why people see Jim Kelly the way he does is because of the recency bias. Because Jim Kelly had regressed bad in his last couple of years, and John Elway went out on top, won a Super Bowl. I'm out. Like you don't go out better than that. That's how you go out. Like, that's just
right.
I mean, the funny thing is,
no, you're right.
Nobody ever talks about Dan Marino. Dan Marino was just good. Everybody's like, yeah, he was good.
Well, see, to me now, when we start talking about that GOAT list, and I know like the argument is always, well, he didn't beat Buffalo, so like, I get it. Dan Marino is higher on that list to me than Jim Kelly. When we're having that greatest of all time conversation, to me, Dan Marino, you can't have it without Dan Marino.
Oh no.
Same thing with, like, when we're talking about other topics and conversations. It's like, you gotta throw certain, even if they didn't win the Super Bowl, you just have to throw them in there. You just have to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, brother, I'm going to let you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo. We should call it the Buffalo Ramblings, because we've just been rambling for like the last 15 minutes.
I don't know how Anthony would feel about that one. We got
the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That's my co-host over there,
Jay Spence, the King. I was supposed to say more.
I don't know. Say something.
Oh, well, y'all already know. I first of all, I love y'all, Bills Mafia. We've been getting along so well recently. I love y'all. Let's keep loving each other. We've been on a.
We're getting along so good since yesterday.
Well, no, I've had a good. Well, I'm saying my relationship with Bills Mafia has been good recently. Let's keep this thing going. Life is great when Bills Mafia loves me. I love it.
The funny thing is like I put out there yesterday, like there's a bunch of soft Bills Mafia out there like unfollowing people on Twitter because of like just whatever's going on. And people are calling me out on it. It's like, I have made a commitment that regardless of your politics or whatever you believe, I'm not going to unfollow you unless you tweet porn. If you tweet porn, I'm unfollowing you. Like that's just what I live by. So if you're too soft and it's like, well, people should be allowed to shape their Twitter feed however they want to, I'm going to show up in your Twitter feed anyway, unless you mute me. Like I tweet a lot and like I have a lot of followers. Like it's just going to happen. Right. I mean, that's like, there's a lot of people on Twitter that I don't follow that I see their tweets every day. And I'm glad I do. It's like, oh, I don't even need to follow you because there you are all the time. Not you. I obviously follow you. So, but yeah, jump over, follow Spence on Twitter at J Spence the King. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Until next time, Buffalo, it is so good to have you guys join us. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.